Clarke is an acclaimed career specialist, corporate trainer, and workplace coach in the areas of career management and transition, communication, and workplace issues. For the past 25 years, Colleen has regaled her clients and audiences with practical, doable, and effective strategies to advance their work search or careers to the next level, with networking a major force in achieving success. Whether one-on-one or in groups, Colleen entertains her audiences with inspiring and applicable stories and processes that make networking fun and productive. So you've been doing this for how long, Colleen?
Well, probably a lot longer than most of the people in the audience. So let's just say I'm
very experienced.
I've been around the block.
We're in very capable hands for this presentation. So.
Yes, they're in very capable
All
hands.
right, amazing. So I'll leave you to it, and I'll be back, and I'll facilitate the Q&A for you. I'll ask the questions on the screen, and you can answer them. All right.
That sounds
so if anyone
good.
has any questions, just put them in the chat, and I'll be back to facilitate that. All right. Thanks, Colleen.
Excellent. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you've been enjoying the conference. I'm honored to be here. I've been talking about networking since truly around 1990. And I don't think the statistics have changed very much over the course of the last 30 years, in the sense that 75 to 80% of all jobs are found through networking. Networking is uncovering the hidden job market. So it's really about the people that you know in your life and making sure that they know what you are looking for. So whether you're looking to buy a secondhand pair of ice skates for your 4-year-old, or whether you're looking to rent an Airbnb in Niagara-on-the-Lake because they're not in lockdown, or whether you are looking to talk to somebody who can help you move forward in your job search with an advice call, which is something we're going to take a look at this afternoon, then building these relationships often come from who you know, but also from who knows you, because other people can be out there gathering information on your behalf while you're at home sleeping or watching Netflix. I just recently worked with a young woman who in the spring acquired her Master's of Public Health. And she had a very auspicious undergrad and master's education, as well as some very good experience, including working with some COVID programs at McMaster University. And working with COVID would be something that she would be pursuing. After trying to do a job search on her own since the spring, she contacted me in October and said, I need you to teach me about networking because I need to find a job. And that's the way that it's going to happen in my industry, with a newly acquired Master's of Public Health. And not even a month after we had fine-tuned her resume, gone through the advice call, written her 3-minute presentation, she called me and she said, on a Monday morning, she called me and she said, somebody called me at 9 o'clock at night last night. It was a Sunday night. And they asked me if I would be available for an interview on Tuesday afternoon. And they want me to be prepared to tell them how much money I need to make and how soon can I start. That was the intensity of the phone call. And she said to the lady, oh, well, yes, I'm available. And yes, I'll be prepared to give you that information. But she said, may I ask you what the position is? And may I ask you how you got my name? Because I don't recall applying for this job at this particular location. And the lady said, well, my director gave me your resume. And she asked who the director was, and she didn't have a recall about this person. So she went back in her network and she realized that this director had got her name and resume from someone that he knew personally, that she knew personally. And without even telling my client that she was passing the resume along, she did so. And out of the blue, without even meeting this person, without having done any type of advice call with him, she got the call, she got the interview, and she got the job. And she started within about a week and a half of the interview, because as you can appreciate, not everything works like that. But when there's COVID involved, they're looking for people very, very quickly. So you can take that scenario where you don't even know the person, And there was a relationship that was starting to be built just in the phone call alone, let alone in the interview. But the impression that my client made on somebody that she reached out to, that she did an advice call with, was impressive enough for that person to pass along her name and her resume. So when we talk about networking, we talk about the hidden job market, but networking itself is a lifestyle. If you like people, you'll love networking. If you like exchanging information and ideas and brainstorming with people, if you like to meet people not within just your own industry, but also outside of your industry, because you never know who knows who. So networking, it's not just a tool that you pull out of your toolkit. It's actually a way of life. And it often has to do with three different components that we're going to look at in just a couple of minutes. But let's start at the very grassroots here and talk about what networking really is. A lot of people don't like to network because they don't like people. They're feared of rejection. They're fear of success. They don't know what to say. They don't know what other people want them to say. There's all kinds of reasons. So like anything, like learning a game of tennis, you have to learn about networking. You have to read books about networking, and you have to get out there and practice networking. So networking is the deliberate process of exchanging information, resources, support, and access in such a way as to create mutually beneficial relationships for personal and professional success. The key word here, ladies and gentlemen, is that networking is an exchange of information. So you know something and you give that information or those resources or that contact information to somebody, and those people now have that information, and they also have their own information or data or resources, and they can either exchange information back with you, or they can exchange that information with other people in their network. So what exactly is networking? First and foremost, networking is giving and it's taking. It's giving information, it's giving advice, help, support, data, opinions, but it's also being able to take. So you need to be able to give in networking, and you also need to be able to take. And sometimes the people that you give to are not the people that you will be taking from. So if I am looking for something in a particular, a job in a particular field, and I come to you and you say, well, Colleen, that's not my area of expertise. Okay, well, I understand that, but could you just share with me what your thoughts would be on how I should approach somebody about my, my career? Well, yeah, this is something I've tried and it's worked before. And so that's a little bit of give and it's a little bit of take, because now you're going to take that information, you're going to apply it, or maybe you're going to share it with other people. Networking is also asking for help and offering help. Some people are too shy to ask for help, but you can't just be a giver. You know, I used to say this to my mother all the time. She's, oh, but I was a nurse. I have this nursing mentality. Well, you know what? That's all very well and fine, Mom. But if you're going to be giving all the time, people have to feel balanced and they have to feel like they can give to you as well. Otherwise, people will stop asking at some point, unless they're users, of course. So networking is being able to ask for help, advice, information, opinions, ideas, research, and it's also being able to offer that information when you see somebody that might be in need that would benefit from that. Networking is also listening. When you go into an advice call, you're going to talk for the first 10 minutes, maybe, or not even the first 10 minutes. You're going to talk for, in total of a 30-minute in a meeting, you're going to talk for about 30% of the time, and you're going to be listening for 70% of the time, because you are in the advice call or the information interview to learn and to glean information from others, not to be the one that's yapping away at somebody. So networking is about listening to what people really need, reading between the lines, and then being able to communicate their needs to other people, or being able to go out into the workplace. I was called by a client recently, a new client, and asked to do a personality dimensions workshop. And once that was all ascertained, the woman that called me said, I'm so busy. And even though we're working virtually, she says, I am so busy. I don't even have time to do my admin work, and I need to hire a part-time admin person. And I could have just said, oh yeah, I can imagine how busy you are. Instead, I said, I think I have somebody that might be able to help you. And I accommodated the two of these people getting together and having a virtual conversation. My friend ending up having the interview. She's a retired IBMer after 40 years, and she's just looking for something to do part-time. And they hired her. And there was a lot of having to sort of give and take in that conversation. But I could have just said to this woman, oh yeah, well, good luck finding somebody. But right away, I went into the how I can help mode and the interpreting mode. So that's what networking really is. What networking is not selling. You don't have to be Xerox trained to be a salesperson to network. The title of my networking book is How to Build Relationships That Count. Networking is telling, it's not selling. Networking is telling people who you are. Networking is telling people what you want, but it is not necessarily selling your, what I call your professional wonderment. So when I meet somebody new, I don't say, oh, hi, my name's Colleen Clarke and I write resumes. Do you need a resume? Are you unemployed, or are you looking for a job? Or do you need something? You should have a resume. I mean, that's not even selling. That's just downright harassment. But instead, you just tell people. People will say, oh, you're Colleen. And what do you do, Colleen? Well, I'm a career specialist, and I help people write resumes. I help people learn their proper interviewing skills, and I help them figure out what they want to be when they grow up. And what about you? It's common courtesy. It's just common etiquette. It's common conversation. So if you can reframe your head around what networking is and not what it is not, there's no fear in networking. There's just work. There is effort. And my recent client, she had to build that 3-minute presentation. She had to pick up the phone. She had to call people who are very, very busy in the health industry right now and trust that people would call her back. And she was very persistent, and she built some nice temporary, if not long-term relationships with people as she was calling these strangers and getting her name out there. And can you imagine that the person that she networked with, that she shared her resume with, who was able to find somebody who was, help me, I need somebody to do an endometriologist to do this, and this. And she was able to say, I just met with a young woman the other day. Here, I'll send you her resume. And imagine when they hired this, my client, the team that hired her must have been very pleased with this contact, this friend, the director's acquaintance or friend. So you're doing other people a favor when you can help them out. Networking is about visibility. Now, it's pretty hard today with the COVID, but let's not just talk about COVID, because we're going to be networking our whole entire lives. But networking is about having increased visibility, sitting in on sessions, sitting in on Zoom meetings, blogging, writing articles on your LinkedIn, because if you're not appearing, you're disappearing. So you have to be out there. So I made a conscientious decision, for instance, as an independent, that at least every couple of weeks I put something on my LinkedIn, which brings my, my algorithms and whatnot up to the top, and I'm easier to access. So find out who you need greater access to, so that you can achieve your networking goals. Sit down and make a list of the types of companies you'd like to work for. Who are the people that you want to network with? Now, normally we recommend that you go as high up the corporate ladder as possible. HR is not the company or is not the department you want to network with. HR makes screening decisions, and they don't always know what hiring managers within a company actually need. They just follow instructions. So part about visibility is not sitting by yourself in an empty theater. If you were down at the Metro Center today, or if you were at Roy Thompson Hall today, where TorontoJobs.ca often holds their events, would you be sitting like this? This is not increasing your visibility. This is not taking the opportunity to meet new people, because you never know who knows who. So increasing your visibility externally, getting out there and joining teams, volunteering, writing, scribing, blogging, offering to be a guest speaker, offer to write a column on what you know from one of the local newspapers or your association. That's increasing your visibility externally. And internally, once you do volunteer work somewhere or you get into a company, is use the people that you know to introduce you to the people you haven't met yet. Pardon me. You want to be able to determine who can help you and who you can help. You can use the electronic media, of course, as LinkedIn. Be very careful with your Facebook. There's meetup groups of all different kinds. There's all kinds of Zoom groups now. There's alumni groups. There's your associations. There's your neighbors. You don't know who your neighbors might know. You don't even know who your neighbors might be related to. And it's using that, your hairdresser, your job, your car mechanic, parents of your kids' friends, all your service providers, your insurance salesman, your bank manager. If you are looking for work, those people should know you're looking for work, what you're looking for, and how to reach you should they think of something in the middle of the night that might be able to help you move forward. So what I'd like to do here in the last few minutes that we have together is I'd like to share with you the advice call or the information interview. Now, for those of you that have been in some of the job search clubs in the city, you may be familiar with this. I don't know if their program is the same as mine, but mine is tried and true. I've been using it for over 30 years. My client just used it and got a job within about 2 weeks. And of course, the time span, again, depends on how immediate people are needing your services. An advice call is a 30-minute one-on-one meeting with someone who can help you get from where you are now to where you want to be. It's up to you to identify the company. It's up to you to identify the person that you want to meet. And it's up to you to have a script that you're going to use to get through on the phone and that you're going to use when you send an email. And I recommend you do both email and telephone, and you tell the people in both your emails and your telephone that I've also sent you an email and I've also left you a voicemail. So you make the call, you arrange the meeting. It's going to be 30 minutes, and you're going to tell the people when you get them on the phone or when you're emailing them why you want to meet with them. And it's because you want to pick their brain. You want to increase your resource material. You're doing some research. That's a very good word to use. Some people aren't comfortable using the word help. You are going to host the meeting when you arrive at this person's place, virtually or in person. You're going to look at your watch and say, we've got 30 minutes. Let me just tell you a bit about myself. And then I'd like to ask you some questions. And if you could give me some advice, that would be terrific. Always asking for it is what you want, because they can't help you if they don't know what it is that you want from them specifically. Why did you identify their company as one that you wanted to work with? Not work with, but get information from. A networking call or an advice call is not that you necessarily want to work at that company, but that you want something that they have to help you move forward. So you want some of their expertise, some of their knowledge, or maybe you want some of their contacts. So what I've done here, ladies and gentlemen, is I've divided the presentation into 3 parts. And this can be the answer to the question, tell me a bit about yourself. The first part A is the opener, and it's a 2 or 3 line sentence about your recent employment, your education, and your 3 areas of expertise. So it would be something like, most recently I worked as a barista at Starbucks. Let's just make this really easy. I've been a barista for the last 5 years, and I most recently was offered a management position. And I have taken some management and leadership courses at George Brown College. My 3 areas of expertise, because I want to pursue assistant management or leadership roles, but I want to get out of the hospitality industry. So my 3 main areas of expertise are communication, understanding people, reading people, listening. So all aspects of communication. And the other is being highly organized and being able to set priorities. So then what you do is you give an example of those 3 areas of expertise. So you have to validate. So you're going to use your SAR stories, and you're going to give examples of those 3 areas of expertise. And the close is merely, that's what I bring to the table. That's what I'm looking for. What would you advise? Where would you suggest I go from here? So ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know more about the advice call or the information interview, it is available in my book, Networking, How to Build Relationships That Count. But also, if you want to let the people at torontojobs.ca know that you would like the script, I would be happy to just send you the script and the recipe. So in closing, it's not just who you know, it's who knows you. So get out there, be visible. Don't ask people for a job. Ask them for assistance, opinion, guidance, help. And then you turn around and say to them, and how can I help you? Thanks very much.
Hey, Colleen, that was great.
Rachel?
We have some questions. Can you see the questions or no? No? Okay.
No.
You could take the presentation off if you want. Do you want me to put do you have a website or somewhere people can contact you if they want to reach out about your services?
Yes, they can reach me through my website, which is Colleen Clarke with an
I'm just going to put it in the chat here so people can click on it. So we have a couple questions here. So we have, how do you do networking virtually?
Well, you get on the phone and you set up an appointment. And it's exactly what my client did just in the last month. She had a list of all the people she wanted to talk to. She got hold of them on the telephone or through email and said, I would like to arrange a get together for 30 minutes. And you really do have to have the conversation. You have to make the initial contact, and then you have to set up the time, and then you have to send your Zoom call or your Microsoft Word, Teams, or whatever it is. But yeah, it's the same as everywhere else. It's just instead of going to their office.
Actually saying Calendly, I use that. It's an app where you can, schedule in the time you have available, and then people can, book a time with you. So yeah, actually that's a great point. So it's Calendly, I think is how you say it. All right. So we have another question.
Yeah, but you know what? But wait a minute. Be very, very careful, ladies and gentlemen. You're trying to build relationships here. This is not a technological lifestyle that we're using to network. We really need to make the contact with the people as much as possible. You've got to build that rapport. And technology doesn't always work in, the setting up part. So you really try very hard to reach out to people because then you're going to be on Zoom with them. You're going to be sitting across from them face to face. So, be very careful about
Sometimes I actually, in our business, I prefer to send personalized emails than automated emails, just because now someone's responding to me and then I can respond to them and we can talk about how their week was. And, so sometimes I kind of prefer, even though automated emails are easier and they're faster, I prefer the one-to-one kind of personalized emails sometimes. So kind of what you're saying, right? Like if you're sending a response to someone, you're doing a huge BCC email and it's very general. Like I prefer to take the time to do one-on-one, communication with people. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. Yeah. Rachel. Perfect. Yeah. Without a doubt. No, not there is no such
Right. No,
there is no
absolutely.
such thing as a BCC in networking. You have to make people feel very special. You're asking them for
Absolutely.
their
All right.
time.
So we have
You're
another
asking for
question.
their
Which is the best way to
expertise.
ask for a referral? So kind of playing off that, will it be proper to ask a LinkedIn contact for help?
Well, yes, you know, this is what LinkedIn is all about. I always think this is such an interesting question because the funny thing about LinkedIn is some people accept everybody's LinkedIn. Would you be my LinkedIn? Would you? And then you get contacted by Joe, and Joe says, "Oh, I see that you're friends with Mary Smith. Could you introduce us?" Never heard of Mary Smith. Well, she's on your LinkedIn. Well, I don't know her. So, you know, this is one of the downfalls of LinkedIn. So you might want to be a little more discreet about who you let into your LinkedIn, that if you don't actually know the person, or if you haven't actually chatted with them and you don't actually know what each of them brings to what you bring to the table, and they know what you bring to the table, and vice versa, then you're not really going to be helpful to somebody else with LinkedIn.
Right. No, absolutely. There's definitely an art to using LinkedIn. That's for sure. I have a lot of contacts that I added, 10 or 12 years ago, which I would have probably no idea who they are today. So it's probably a good idea to periodically go in and clean up your network too, and your contacts, right?
Yes, yes. But please do not be shy to ask people to introduce you. That's the whole point of LinkedIn. If they can't help you, they can't help you. But please don't be shy about it. That's what it's for. And if somebody says, "Oh, well, no, I'm too busy," or well, you know what? Then they're not a very LinkedIn person. And you know what? It just means that it wasn't meant to be. But if you're shy, then you need to find a more introverted way to reach out to people. You can't be shy in business. You have to maybe take courses or read books or be in situations where you are most comfortable so that you can be out there. But there are introverted ways to network, and there's a wonderful book called Splash, An Introvert's Guide to Being Seen, Heard, and Remembered. It's by Carol Cameron. Splash, look it up. It's a wonderful little workbook, and it is particularly written for people who are shy or introverted and need to learn to network.
How do they go about the networking process when they're shy? So